And here we are, once again, the world's most bullish podcast. Dr. Evil 10%, Mr. All In, and myself, Sir Neverlook. She was here, but she's never here. Mrs. No Show as well. One day, she might show up, she might not, but we're not holding our breath on that. But what we might do is get cancelled before she does show up. That's what I'm betting.
Yeah, at least we made it to Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. I've got the Christmas cardigan on. This is pod number 36. We're still rocking and rolling.
Doing well. We're doing well. And
the year anniversary in sight.
It is. When did we actually start? If this is 36. Oh, right. Yeah. So we've got a while. Yeah, we've still got 16 weeks.
But it's in relative sight. You know, it's been going for quite a while.
Yeah.
And Miss No Show has not been on for quite a while.
Yeah, 8 months. I must admit, I think, what was it? We were going to do 10 episodes. That was our test. I wasn't going to bother editing and putting them online unless we could get past 10. And we're on 36. So not bad. Kept it going.
Yeah. Strong audience as well. And the format stayed pretty much the same. So if you're a regular listener, you know the drill. But ultimately, all the information that we talk about is in the show notes. It's for value entertainment purposes. This is not financial advice.
It is financial advice, though, by Bitcoin.
Financial advice by Bitcoin. Just by Bitcoin.
Apart from we've had one tweak in the format, which is Mr. All In limiting on how much inflation we can talk about, because everyone knows it's our favourite subject, and I feel a little bit lost now that I'm only allowed one subject a week.
Yeah,
we had to, didn't we? We're turning into it's more like shitting on fiat podcast as opposed to talking about Bitcoin.
That's pretty much what Bitcoin is, though.
Yeah,
we wouldn't need Bitcoin if fiat wasn't so shit.
I know, but it's like you just end up repeating yourself every week, don't you? It's like, oh look.
Yeah,
they've printed a load more. Oh, and look at what lie they're making up this week, pretending that this is coming up because fucking cows are more expensive to treat their farts. You're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. That makes total sense.
Well, yeah, they're just raising the debt ceiling now because the US pays its debts.
US always pays its debts, yeah. But anyway, yeah, it's Christmas though, isn't it? And I just wanted to start on this one because who here is getting someone Bitcoin for Christmas?
Some Bitcoin. I'm not giving them any Bitcoin. I'm stacking sats, but I'm not necessarily thinking about getting anyone any Bitcoin. Got me thinking. I might send out some ledgers.
Okay, but with no Bitcoin on it. It's unlucky to give someone a wallet with no Bitcoin on it.
Okay.
You give them one sat.
Giving someone a wallet and you put a penny in it, don't you?
Yeah, could always use my 21 lessons free sats from Carrot that I did. So just before the show, did it. Didn't cheat. Yeah, I didn't cheat. I got 19 out of 21. So
nice. Yeah. I've got, I think, a few more emails to get on that one to complete it, but I've been going through the emails finally. And it's good content. It's short, concise. Yeah. So well worth doing. Free money. And that, those sats. What is it? 2,100 sats could be worth a lot of money. If I could buy you a nice shiny bike or something in the future.
Yeah, I quite like the lessons. I think it's probably for like people that listen to this podcast. Probably won't learn a huge amount because it really it's quite basic, isn't it? It reminds me a little bit of Bitcoin lessons in the very early days, but almost an even simpler version of Bitcoin lessons. It's just you're really assuming no knowledge, which is fine. It's a good place to start. It's a good place for your normie mates just to like send them that email. You get a pound of Bitcoin in the form of sats, and if they actually read the emails and then pass the test at the end, that does prove you're off zero on your knowledge. You're going to have a lot of questions still. You're still not going to quite believe the lessons. But you can have a little bit of Bitcoin. You're probably going to want to go, well, I don't want it in this Carrot app. I don't trust these guys. I want it out. So you send it out. You have to figure out how to get a Lightning wallet, and then you withdraw it and send it to your Lightning wallet. So I got 20 out of 21. I was gutted I got one wrong. They don't tell you which one you get wrong either, do they?
That's what I was just about to say. I think I can't think which one I got wrong or two I got wrong, but yes, it annoyed me. There are a couple of questions in there, though, aren't there, where you think, well, could be this, could be that, because do the process of elimination, there's normally two which you think straight away, it's never going to be you two, and then there's two very close.
Yeah, there is. I do remember one question where I was very split between two because they were almost worded the same. I think in my defense, I think it was a poorly worded question. And there was two answers that almost sounded the same. I'm like, I think it's this one, and then just went on. And then every other one I was 100% certain on. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it was that one where I was a little bit between the two going, I'm not sure which, I think it was about mining or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Like what do miners not do? And then had four things. And when I read all four things, I kind of went, I think they do all of these, but one of them was slightly nuanced. And I went, I think they've misworded this one on purpose, but I think I was being too clever, and it was the one above it. But because you have to get 17. I think if you get 17 or above, then you get the sats, and you only get one go at it per email address. So you can't just. It's not like the shitcoin lessons on Coinbase where there's four options and you get 4 goes. Well, actually, you get unlimited goes, don't you? You can literally get it wrong 100 times and still get your dollar.
Apart from when they tell you can't have any more shit coins.
Yeah, unless they ban you from it because, I don't know, just blacklisted you for some reason.
Yeah.
You probably need to put more fiat in, get more excited.
I don't want to put more fiat. I put it on Coinbase Pro.
Yeah, same thing. It's still Coinbase. They still see it.
I converted mine over actually, so it's just sat there looking to do some stuff. I'm looking at for some reason banks being the banks, so on the property front didn't really come through today, so I was supposed to be doing a nice buy today, and they just didn't work out. So next week I should be all in. So I'm in two minds because I feel like we're at a low. So naturally you would normally dollar cost average in, but I think I'm just going to go all in, splash.
It's on sale.
Because it's on sale, exactly.
I mean, it's always fine to do that, provided you've got the 5-year mentality. Then you're fine.
Yeah,
you're immune.
Oh yeah,
because it's sod's law that when you do that, if you do that now and you just lump in, it'll go down by 30% the week after, and you'll be like, "Fuck's sake."
I'm waiting for it to go down 30% after Sir Never Look by lumps a pile in.
Yeah, because
I'm gonna have to sell something like one of my kids.
Whereas if you dollar cost average, then the price doubles next week, and you're going, "Oh, why did I only put 10% in? Now I'm 90% at half the price," and you're like, "Fuck."
I just want to be in 5 years in the future, so I'm not thinking, "Oh shit, it's dipping near what I bought in for."
Yeah,
I think you'll be always thinking, "Why didn't I sell everything?" Anything and everything.
Yeah, it'll always be nice when we dip from 3 million to 2 million. Everyone will be losing their shit, but it's so far above your buy price, and you're going to be so sorted in life that you go, it's my play cash. It's fluctuating by millions every day, but whatever. You don't, once you've got your life sorted, you don't care, do you? This is why people always say that the difference between 100 million and 300 million is basically zero, because the other 200 million just doesn't matter. It's just another yacht or something, and you don't miss it. You already got everything. So that's how hopefully where a lot of people get to with Bitcoin that are getting in around now. It just gets to the point where you're like, no, Bitcoin's done what it needs to do for me. It's sound money. It's got me everything I needed. I've converted into some assets that I wanted to sort out for my life, and now I just hold the rest. And I know it's going to have a 50-year freaking volatile thing whilst we figure out what the price of Bitcoin is. And but yeah, by the time I give it to my grandkids, it will be nice and plateaued. It'll be 2% a year. But yeah, we're gonna have to live out the volatility, and it's just going to be a bit crazy. But it's crazy upwards once you zoom out.
Yeah, that's the one.
But I just want to go back to that Christmas thing, though, right? Are you giving out any Bitcoin for Christmas? Up to 10%.
I'm not giving anyone my sats.
But you're going to buy him something instead, aren't you? You're going to buy him some plastic shit and wrap it up.
I was going to say, not really plastic, but hey.
What then? What, random smellies? chocolate.
Yeah, I think if I bought my wife a load of Bitcoin, she'd be like, I wanted a present, not just a load of Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, not your wife probably. Your wife's like technically already joined finances anyway. That's like buying her some Amazon stock. She'd be like, "What the fuck's this?" But I'm talking kids, mum, dad, brothers, sisters, cousins.
So for parents, I just don't think they could be into Bitcoin. So I
They're
kind
not
of
ready
like,
yet.
sorry, but they're not even remotely ready. They think people sail the high seas, buying drugs on boats and stuff like that with Bitcoin.
So this is the thing, though, right? This is what I always think when you're trying to convert people. Like, you got to start close to home, and the great way of doing it, I started giving Bitcoin back in 2017, I think, or 2016, and all I did is I don't like buying presents anyway. Especially, I don't like buying shit for people that I'm not even sure they're going to like. So unless you give me a very clear idea of what you're after, I will buy that. But I just did 1 year where I just got everyone Bitcoin, and I stored it for them. You know, I just created new wallets inside my ledger, named it for them, got them just 50, 100 quid of Bitcoin, and then I got their phones once they had it. I got downloaded Blockfolio for them, put their £100 of Bitcoin onto their phone, and went, there you go, you can just track it now. And then the next year and the next birthday, I just always add to it, whether it's £10 or £20 or 50 quid or 100 quid. And now pretty much all of them have a couple of grand worth of Bitcoin. And nearly all of them now have started stacking themselves, including my parents. And my
Do they
parents
actually stack your parents?
Yeah. They've probably, they're about to go really start stacking because they've been stacking for like the last 4 years.
That's a buy signal to anyone listening, right? So I better get in. If Mr. Orlin's parents, you got the DNA from somewhere, they're going in.
Yeah, well, they're getting a load of their pension money. And I'm basically, as we know, I'm managing some of that for them.
All in Bitcoin. It's dipped 40%.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, they would never, I'm sitting there discussing it with them. And if they hadn't seen the performance of Bitcoin over the last 4 years on a small amount of money they've done, and at the time I was even telling them that, when I was stacking for you and you had that money and you put it into this ISA that earned 0.3%. So you put like, 20, 30 grand into this thing. Well, how much money has it made? 80 quid, right? 80 quid in 4 years. Let's just see if you'd have put just 20% of that into Bitcoin. Oh, look, you'd have made 150 grand. And you go, right, this is the type of mistakes you're making financially. So I'm not saying go all in. I'm just saying put a portion of this money as a balance, but literally, whilst we were discussing before the show, right? Nice and simple. You want your pension, you want your house, you want some cash, you want some S&P 500, and you want some Bitcoin. And
you do.
Depending on your risk tolerance, the percentages of those 5 things just change. So obviously my parents are towards the end, like the kind of the end of their career and money earning lives, because they're in retirement age now. So you want to be risk adverse. You can't, they don't want to live through a 10, 20%, 10, 20 year bear market in Bitcoin. They need money on hand. They're not going to be earning any more. But obviously for the younger you are, you go more risky.
What about all your family? Because didn't you have one member of your immediate family who wasn't into Bitcoin?
Well, yeah, I guess that by that I mean they're not a Bitcoiner, but they're stacking. Everyone I know, like my brother, sister, mum, dad, and their significant others, and their kids are now all got Bitcoin accounts and all are stacking. And I genuinely think it all started from me giving them 50 quid at Christmas and birthday, putting it on their phone, and they started tracking it. When that 50 quid goes to 75 or 100, it just clicks in people's heads. They're like, how did that happen? And they go, because the price went up. And they go, oh, can I buy some? I'm like, yeah, of course you can. How do I do it? I'm like, here we go. It's not me. It's not me pushing this on you now. It's you coming to me. And this is, it's so Christmas is a great
basically
time.
What you're saying is we didn't get in as early as we could have because you didn't give us a present of £50 of Bitcoin.
Yeah, I didn't do it for you guys, no.
See, funny enough, my brother was messaging
about 5 Christmases too late. So with inflation, that must literally be like 5K.
Yeah, so I was talking to my brother today, and I was like, "Oh, so he's asking about what works we're getting finished in our house." I said, "Oh, what are you looking at? Oh, the gas." I said, "You get insulation or solar panels?" Oh, he's getting solar panels for electricity. So she's looking to that big rise in electricity. And then I was, well, what are you going to do about gas? And he's just like, "Oh, we can't insulate. It's too expensive. These other things are too expensive." Well, I said, gas. This is what happens when you have price fixing and massive money printing. It's just basically my comment. I got nothing back off it, but I was just shoving that comment in to see if we got anywhere with him.
Any luck?
No, nothing. But I'm gonna put me odd one every so often just to see, because he's an accountant, so he should have an eye on this.
He should, but he's probably super risk adverse just because that's their nature. I mean, you are risk adverse as well. But you're in.
Yeah. I'm risk adverse, but I suppose what's got me this far is that I'm quite active on looking at things.
Yeah. Curiosity, isn't it? You need that curiosity. Because I was thinking about this just today as well. So I'll finish for work and go back in early Jan. Obviously, it gives you that free thinking time. And I've been dabbling in stocks and shares for about best part of 10 years, if not more. And the way that I got into it is just through pure curiosity and thinking like, oh, I want to do this, because most people have that FOMO. Sorry, the FOMO of like, no, it's not even FOMO. It's a JOMO of joy of missing out. And they're like, oh no, it's too difficult. I don't want anything to do with it. Whereas I was like, nah, I'm going to have a look. And I actually hoped that I would lose money, because that way it would teach me how to not lose money.
I mean, I know a couple of accountants, and they're the hardest ones to convert, because they actually think that, like, a lot of people just think they don't understand the financial system at all. So it's just a lot of confusing words like quantitative easing,
raising the debt ceiling.
Yeah, exactly. And they stand there in their nice suits and say they're trained economists and say they've been running the economy for 100 years. And most people just go, oh, okay, that's fine. I believe them. And so trying to get them off I'm just literally just trusting right now. And then once you try and orange pill those guys, I find it's easier. With the accountants and economists, they've gone deeper than that. They've been taught Keynes and essentially that money printing is good, and that the IMF is good, that quantitative easing does work, it does stimulate the economy, and they've written papers on it. They've done qualifications in why this stuff works. So for them to go, now Keynes was wrong the entire time, it's just a load of bollocks to justify money printing. Actually, Austrian economics is the best, and it's completely over here. Like, this is a huge cultural shift for them, and it's very uncomfortable for them to come out of it, because they've been strongly educated on it, which is why there's a number of very prominent economists on Bitcoin Twitter that we are constantly going at, and they just don't get Bitcoin because they got this dissidence that's built into them. And so it's weird, and I've noticed it the same with some accountants that I know, because they think that they understand economics so well. They just think Bitcoin doesn't work. It's not inflationary. You have to have inflationary money for it to work. You need someone controlling it to be able to increase and decrease the supply as you need. And they've been taught all the reasons as to why that is, and they don't understand that that ultimately always leads in corruption and infinite money printing, and always a collapse of the currency. But that wasn't what they were taught. They didn't get taught any of that in university. They missed it all out. So
kind of talking about investing, should we go on to one of the next topics? We kind of hopped on from the lessons one. And we've got everyone's favorite investor, Nancy Pelosi, coming out this week. Everyone may know her as the best ever investor. What gains is it? 69%? Unrivaled.
Year on year, 20 years or something.
Yeah, on a wage of $200,000 a year, she's turned it to 120 million. That's how amazing she is at investing. So, there's a video circulating on Twitter on this where she's asked whether politicians should be allowed to trade stocks, and she said that they should, because it's a free market economy. So, what's everyone's take on that?
Well, if you read through it, it is a free economy, but the information that she was getting, it seems like it was inside information in order to be able to make those trades. And so if that information was freely available to everyone, fair play, absolutely, go ahead, fill your boots, Nancy. But ultimately, you and I weren't privy to that information. And that's where I really find it difficult, because what we're seeing here is what actually happens, and that's the elite and their circle obviously benefiting from one another. You know, we're about to do this, we're about to make this acquisition, maybe you should put some money here, and we're just then bag holding once we finally get the information.
Yeah, and talk to her about Bitcoin as well, and then go, it's a free economy, let Bitcoin either boom or bust on its own. She'll be sat there in front of the queue going, no, we need to regulate it, we need to ban it. Oh, so it's not a free economy anymore for Bitcoin, is it? She wants to regulate that.
The thing which I don't really understand is why she wants to do this. What's she, like 70, 75, 80? You know, why does she give a toss about all this? Like, you know, she's got hundreds of millions of pounds. You know, it just makes no sense that she's still in this.
And then just flow down to the family, won't it? So it'll just be that it continues on in the family. So her family and her friends don't get left behind ultimately. And Bitcoin, as we know, is permissionless and anybody can do it. So therefore, people that aren't in the circle can get in the circle. And that's why, of course, it's going to be a transfer of wealth. And there's going to be resistance to that. So the likes of Nancy Pelosi don't want you to be rich. You know, they, as I always like to say, you know, they are not our friends.
Is they her pronoun?
Yeah, that's
I thought it's funny that the question was asked because it was blatantly a dig at her. You know, it pretty much was, why are you allowed to do insider trading? So it is, you know, you should be in prison. So I thought that was quite funny that it was asked, because it's not just, you know, people swarming around on Twitter or onto her. A lot of the world is onto her.
Yeah. And it did seem like it was a bit, it kind of caught her a bit off guard, I think. She didn't have a prepared answer, which surprises me, because she kind of blurted out, oh, it's a free economy. And that isn't a very good answer. You know, she should have a much more measured politician's answer, where you talk around the houses for 5 minutes and don't really answer the question. It was very much, she felt like she was being attacked and she wanted to attack back and go, this is America, it's a free economy. Even though the government are obviously the ones that stop it being a free economy by favoring certain businesses, regulating others, and then, trading on insider information. It's kind of hilarious that that was her answer. It's a free economy when it suits her, and it's a regulated market when it doesn't. It's just, come on, pick one, Nancy. And it's very clear. I think, you know, what's everyone's take on it? Do you want your top level politicians being able to trade stocks?
I think it should be just almost like I don't know if you say a blind trust or something along those lines. You know, it should be, you know, they are people in power that in a real world they would need to save. So I think there should be some kind of top investor in there who invests their money, and it is completely blind. There's no connection through to it. You know, if there's any evidence that there's some kind of link between that investor and a politician, and people get sent to prison.
That's what they do for the president. The president has to put all his assets into a blind trust, but people below him don't have to.
So I think for MPs and, you know, senators up, definitely should be.
My understanding is that they have to declare, correct me if I'm wrong, what they did, but is it 3 months after or so? So we see what happens. So maybe it's more transparent and it's more up to the minute, you know, a week or even.
I think they just need to set rules around it, because there's no rules. Like they're seeing what Nancy Pelosi's doing, and they're like, only do one every so often, Nancy. She's like, fuck off. I'll do this one, I'll do that one, I'll do that one. Fucking Nancy's coining it.
Like you said, she's 85. She needs to get her last gains in now. She's like, I can't do one a year. I'm nearly dead. I need to do 10 a year.
That's like most old people, don't they? Once they get to a certain age, you don't give a fuck. It's like, I'm just going to do whatever, and what's the consequences? So what? That's why old people are rude. They don't care who they're trying to insult. They haven't got long, so they need to just do what is going to happen. I'll be the same.
So I remember right at the beginning of the pandemic, like two years ago, I think there was like 20 US politicians that all sold a load of stocks and brought into pharmaceutical companies in like February 2020. So before anyone knew lockdown and the pandemic button was going to get pressed, they knew it was going to get pressed because obviously they're in the meetings that they're preparing for lockdowns and vaccines and all that stuff. There's like 20 of them, 20 US senators or politicians, and nothing happened. They clearly traded on insider information there. Like, you need consequences, don't you? And it's like Nancy comes up and like everyone knows it. It's nearly a global meme that she's the greatest trader of all time, purely trading on insider information because she sees the policies on her desk. Like, oh, look, the car industry is going to get a 20% boost or a 20% cut. So she just trades on that before it goes through Congress in a couple of weeks and then makes shit ton of money. Like, it's just funny that that's what happens, but there's zero consequences. And she's just doing mass fraud in broad daylight. Everybody knows it. She get asked questions on it and she just goes, free market, lol. And she gets away with it. It's like, it's not the free market. You have insider information. That's like a CEO of a company trading on his own financials going, free market. So it's not. It's not the free market. You can see the P&L. You can literally see the sales figures in front of you before the market does. You're not allowed to trade on that. That's, oh my God. So
it was funny, her reaction to it, wasn't it? It was just like, yeah, so what, dickhead? Carry on. Next question, please.
Yeah. Almost like, do you know who I am? Like, the rules apply to you, not to me, dickhead. Go away, pleb.
Make sure he's getting escorted out. I don't want him back.
Nancy Pelosi doesn't give a fuck.
No, she doesn't.
She's like, do you know how many flavors of ice cream I have?
Right, so who wants next on this? My guy Max Kaiser predicts Guatemala to be the next El Salvador.
Good topic.
Yeah, we definitely in 2022. This is our pledge to all of the listeners. We will come up with our own top 10. We kind of talked about it offline in our group about some of the countries that we think will adopt Bitcoin as their Bitcoin standard, removing whatever currency that they are using, or obviously complementing it side by side. But Guatemala, next to El Salvador, what do you think? Can it happen?
Yeah, why not? It's right next to El Salvador, isn't it? And Max seems to have a bit of insider info there. I think he may have been talking to some politicians and some financial guys that are high up in Guatemala. So it looks like he's got a bit of insider info. I don't think he's pulling that name out of his ass. I don't think he's guessing. So yeah.
He talked about the countries surrounding, didn't he? So Guatemala, my Central American geography is absolutely terrible. I couldn't even name most of the countries there, but he was talking about those countries in that kind of unit. So you've got geography, and you've also got general how poor they are. And also tax of things like bank accounts. So, it could be parts of Africa, it could be South America, it could be poor parts of Asia. There's plenty of places, but it's, what's going to be the next step? Will it be the one next to Guatemala, or will it be a really poor country which just goes, fuck it, we need to try a life raft?
Yeah.
How many countries do you think we're going to adopt the Bitcoin standard next year?
3.
On top of El Salvador, so 4 in total, yeah.
I'm going to go optimistic 3. I was thinking same 2, and I thought, fuck it, 3.
I like it.
I want Pakistan, but I know they're not close. I think he's probably like Guatemala, you could be looking at, Belize, Honduras, places like that, ones where we have seen extreme poverty and things like, which have caused high crime and murder rates. Because I think we have talked about, countries with the highest murder rates, it typically is the ones which are the most corrupt and poor.
So never look at what you're going for.
Yeah, I'm going to go out there and go 6 or W3. Yeah, I'm going to go 6 because I feel like some will come close to one another. So similar to like what happened with the politicians. So New York and Miami. Okay, you're going to take your paycheck in Bitcoin. So am I. But this time I'm going to do 3 months instead of your 1 month salary. So I feel as though when another country goes over the line, says, yeah, we're adopting Bitcoin, then we'll have more. And I think it's probably already happening in the background as we speak right now. But I think El Salvador are in a unique position where Nayib was able to obviously push it through a lot quicker. And I think the others will probably have a little bit more red tape. So we may have already had some by now, but it's been met with some resistance. So I don't think it's just going to be that they're starting from square one. They're already in the process of going to a Bitcoin standard.
What kind of countries do you think?
I'll do that on another pod.
Because I said, really what kind of?
I do think the South American countries will definitely be in there. I think that there'll be the Libyas in there as well. Some African countries in there in terms of, well, obviously Libya is in Africa as well, but like Nigeria as well, and then there'll always be some.
So you think it's literally going to be like dominoes, like one's going to go and it's going to cause a bit of a knock-on effect to some of the poorer countries?
Absolutely. Whilst the mainstream media are knocking El Salvador, there are others that are watching with clear intent to see, wow, they put this much on their balance sheet and it is now this much. They're planning on doing this with like Bitcoin Beach. They're planning on using the volcano as the energy. Not only that, their tourism has risen from X to Y. There's a lot of benefits for you putting Bitcoin on your balance sheet, not only as a life raft, but for other purposes as well. And I know, it'd be silly for them not to.
Max did talk about
you're going to mock them.
Max talked about the alternative, which was the left-wing populist governments. So I think Chile's just voted someone in because they seem to swing. So he's putting it from militant dictators through to populist left-wingers who just throw lots of money. And, forgive me if I'm wrong, but they end up in mass inflation, hyperinflation. So I'm guessing that's why a couple of those countries like Argentina are in this mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's over the history of like human beings. Like we're flung from being very authoritarian to thinking then, oh no, let's be libertarian, but never. But both scenarios end up with the same thing, which is money printing. Yes, either, and they both really end up in some kind of authoritarian dictatorship, or you end up thinking you're trying to get freedom and libertarianism, but you end up in communism. So it's like you kind of end up in the same place. Like both extremes, left and right, end up in the same place where you're completely subservient to the government. But 6 countries is massive because I think.
What do you reckon? What's your bet?
Yeah, what's your
bet? Well, I think 0 is a very real number because it's going to take.
We're going to have to change your name. You're not Mr. All In then.
So in 2022, there will be 0, 3, or 6.
Yeah, well, I think I said 0 is a very real number, but I'm going to be more optimistic than that because, like you said, like these things don't. If they're starting it now, they're not going to finish it in 2022. These things would take more than a year to complete, so they need to already be well underway. So I would think there's probably at least 2 South American countries that have already started and are following the path of El Salvador now and will complete in 2022. So I'm going to go 2. And then, but it would be massive if someone in Africa could also be doing it, because this is almost like, then it's almost like a pandemic in a way. where you've got a virus. At the moment, the virus is in South America. So we know it's going to spread there. It's all natural. But if you get a new case popping up in Africa, now it's spreading from 2 places.
We get a few places potentially to live.
Exactly, yeah. Because we need more than one Bitcoin city. We can't have Naive having all the Bitcoiners go there. We need some competition, because that's the free market, right? It's otherwise you end up in an authoritarian place anyway. You can't have one Bitcoin city. They also know where to come find us, so that's very dangerous. You don't put all the Bitcoiners in one city. Recipe for disaster.
Yeah, we need to be decentralized. I think it's probably worthwhile doing a back-to-back episode on ones that will and ones that will never, or the furthest from doing so as well.
What are you saying? Will never, but it's
I say will never, furthest away.
You say, we'll be the last adopters because they just don't want to. And that's going to be China and US. I literally think that we need say no more.
Yeah. You literally it's just a reverse order on who has the money now. And it goes, the adoption will go the opposite way up, because the people that have got everything to lose, like they want the money to change. So of course they're not going to.
Because like the UK will be late because they've got America's balls hanging in its mouth as they're trying to cling on.
So you're saying that, it's so strange to think that the UK and the US will both be later than North Korea.
Oh, no, probably not North Korea. North Korea would be
late. Let me throw that.
Well, thing is, North Korea is not part of the free market.
Yeah, exactly. In North Korea,
they're a bit of an anomaly. So you've got China, North Korea, US. So I'll put them in the same bracket because it's a really fair point about North Korea, because their economy is North Korea. So that's their circular economy going America. It doesn't matter about the outside forces. You've got people who've got their tongues too far up the main country's arses, like the UK and Australia. And you've got a load of no one really cares about them, like Norway and Sweden, Denmark, etc. I think will be relatively early compared to them. But you've got all the poorer countries. So they're going to be looking for a way out. So as we mentioned, Argentina, Brazil, Belize, Honduras, Guatemala, all those kind of countries you'd expect to go a lot sooner, and then various countries in Africa, Ethiopia, Kenya, and some of those central like Chad and Democratic Congo, etc., who are poorer.
I think something also could happen. It could be like, again, a pandemic. The unpredictable will happen of some sort. So like a natural disaster, like a tsunami or a tornado, something that will destroy the country in some form, fashion. It's a natural disaster that no one predicts. But then through that, they're like, right, maybe we should look at this Bitcoin thing a little bit more. And then they're off.
What? So you're saying like a country, I don't know, Thailand would be an example from the early 2000s.
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico is part of America. They're not independent.
They ain't gonna do it.
But you could have, like, out of the big powerhouses, you could have like Pakistan is probably in there. You got Iran, you got India.
Russia are a strange country because they seem Russia to flirt with the cryptocurrencies.
Yeah. Russia could be a huge one. Yeah. They're the wild cards. They're the ones that are higher up the stack money-wise, but they could drop down into the adopting earlier than their rankings.
They want to win the race.
Yeah, they want to up themselves from 8th or 9th to number 1. And when they start to see the game change, they're like, oh, right, if we switch now, we can skip ahead a few places. It's worth a gamble. Whereas when you sat up top, it's not worth the gamble when you sat up at number 1 or 2. You're like, no, I'm just going to stay here and try and regulate it and ban everything. And it's obviously, we know that's not going to work. It's just you're just going to get disrupted. Anyone that tries to ban stuff just never succeeds. And on the topic of banning, if you want to go on to that story,
let's hit it.
We've got China. We just talked about China as well. And obviously they've tried to ban Bitcoin. But there's been an article written But we did think all the mining had left China. And at one point, up to 70% of the mining of Bitcoin was in China. We thought it all left. But people have actually dug into it and they realized there's actually about 20% of the miners that were in China before, they're still mining. They're still chugging away. So it's gone down significantly, but it just proves that even in an authoritarian dictatorship like China, where the punishments for mining this Bitcoin would be very harsh, extremely harsh, you'll probably get arrested and never be seen again. It's one of those types of countries.
How do they get the estimate for that?
Because you know from the wallets if you're mining, number one, and then we also knew that where they're sending their Bitcoin if they're going to sell it. So you can see if you're mining it, you can see who got the block reward, and then you can also then see which exchanges you sent it to. So if you sent it to a Chinese exchange, suggest you in China, right? So, especially it definitely is China, because no one else can even send to a Chinese exchange. It's a closed financial system. So yeah, so you can kind of identify them that way. So like pretty much the analysis that was done, you're still kind of guessing. There's still going to be some errors in this, but the miners that we thought were in China, 20% of them are still there. It's going to probably piss off someone in China.
Yeah.
Can't ban Bitcoin.
You can't take it out. You can't have the hustle.
It's too profitable, man. It's too people know what this means. They don't want to be on their local currency. They are going to do whatever it takes, and that even risk death in these circumstances here.
I thought they were scaling the ban back in China again.
Don't think so. Well, mining Bitcoin is definitely banned, so that number should be at 0, and it's still at 20. So I'm not sure quite what happened, whether it never always went down to 0. I've got a feeling it might have gone close to 0. And then after the ban, after they stopped checking, people have slowly but surely started plugging their miners back in. And they're doing it under the hood and just going, yeah, we've shut down. So, why have you got 16 garages that are all like whirring right now?
Well, they got access to hydroelectricity, haven't they? So it can be hidden in a way. It's not just on the grid. So, the fact it's going to the exchanges is probably the only clue.
Yeah, that'll be their problem. Yeah, they've literally, these 20%, they probably have to just 100% stack and hodl because they can't sell. So if they do, then it exposes the fact they were mining it. That's good for Bitcoin's price.
It's brilliant. And ultimately, we said it before in another pod, but that could be China's downfall along with other things in terms of like them becoming the number one superpower. The way I see it is they were leading the race in with the mining of Bitcoin over and above any other country. And so having Bitcoin on their balance sheet would have cemented them as number one. Now, we know that they are the biggest exporters in terms of obviously all of the manufacturing. And so within the next couple of years, number one country. But stopping it, then let's America then catch up. And the miners over there took what they were doing. And so that coupled with their authoritarian regime isn't really going to help them.
It's one of those where you think like, history doesn't rhyme. No, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. So when the gold standards are coming around, most of Europe and America picked gold, and then you've got India and China just pig-headedly went, no, it's silver. Silver is the standard, and it decimated their economies. They lost 98% of their wealth. They've only just recovered. India and China are massively on the comeback. They've had 100 years to pretty much continue to build up now based on a fiat standard as opposed to kind of purely relying on gold reserves, which has given them the opportunity to now pretty much be powerhouses in the economy again. They're back into the top 10 after being nowhere. And they're making the same decision again. They're literally
China went pretty quick. It was India in particular, which didn't come back at all, did it? It took so long for them to actually...
Yeah, if you think, because about 40 years ago, if you were talking about China, they were still in the doldrums in, farming, essentially. They've gone not even fifth gear, they're in another, stratosphere gear.
Yeah, whereas India, it's really only the last 10 years where it's made a proper comeback.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a fair point around history rhyming.
Yeah, and it's interesting as well because we've got him on our list of things and topics to talk about. But Ray Dalio is a big investor in China, and China don't want people to take their money out of China. It stays in there, so hence the reason why their economy is typically pretty good. But if they carry on like this, it's just a downfall, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure China have banned investing in stocks now.
Well, no, it's investing in educational stocks.
What could that be?
So we don't think that education should be monetized. That's right. What they banned.
Right.
Because it's bizarre. Like China's economy is completely fucked every which way. It would have collapsed if the government wasn't just propping it up with just money printing and just.
Was that property one, wasn't there? Which was an absolute massive company. Was it Evergrande?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that's collapsing at the moment.
Yeah.
But they've had countless, right? They literally had to ban Chinese companies listing on other markets because the fraud and corruption was so huge that they'd list like a little tea company that produced like enough tea for a small town, and they would just cook the books and make it look like they were selling half the tea in China, and US and European investors were going in on it, investing in this stock, making it worth billions. And it's a little tea house, and China wouldn't let anyone in to audit any of these companies. So they just kept cooking the books, kept just lying on their balance sheets, going, yeah, we just doubled revenue again, year on year, doubled again. And everyone was like, oh my God, this is the best company ever. And until eventually a reporter got through to the company, and there was a guy on a gate, and there was like a little warehouse of tea in it. And like, this is the company, it's worth like half of what.
But the thing is, he's saying this, and one of the American success stories in the 70s and 80s was something like Eddie's Electronics. And it's exactly that. They kept on cooking a book, and when they got audited, they're like, I can't remember the exact name, but it's I think it's Eddie's something.
Yeah.
Right. But basically following a load of examples of that, China got their stocks banned from pretty much the Western market. So you can't, unless you're a Ray Dalio, that you can't invest in them because they just went, you can't audit them. We have no clue if they're telling the truth. And China don't care. They reported all this stuff to the Chinese government and went, what the hell? Like, why didn't you let us in? You said you'd audited these guys. You clearly didn't. They just went, lol, you lost a load of money. Unlucky.
Feels like COVID-19.
Sometimes they all just think, are they all just playing a silly game where they're actually all collaborating? And really, when you look at it, like who lost money? Like it's just the average mum and dad that lost money. Did any politicians or big regulators lose money? Nah, they all made money.
Nancy Pelosi did not lose money.
And guarantees she got out of that tea company the second the freaking auditors were about to walk in the door.
So going on to someone who Sir Neverlook dragged in, Ray Dalio. So one of his articles this week, well, not his article, but about him was how, well, actually, first of all, he's a big Bitcoin investor, and is he also Ethereum?
Yeah, he says he says in this he has put Ether in his portfolio,
Yeah, unfortunately. So he's saying how cash is the worst investment. So it's quite a funny one because, how could cash be an investment? Because it's not going to appreciate, is it?
No, and it's interesting because in the past, he has talked about having cash reserves as well. I'm sure Bridgewater, which is his private equity firm, had a lot of cash just sat around, and obviously was made quite big from their fair weather fund as well. So basically, if anything goes wrong, they've got all bases covered. And again, I think they were quite big on making sure that you've got money, fiat money, sat around for a rainy day.
Yeah, I think he says some great things in this interview, because he really just iterates, like, do not, like, so in terms of your returns of your assets in nominal terms, as in how many dollars you have, don't view it in those terms. View it in terms of inflation adjusted to dollars. And that's the key, right? This is why we always get confused. If you invested 10 grand in something and you've now got 11, you think you made £1,000, but in reality you probably didn't. Like, that's only 10%, and inflation was probably about that. So if anything, you just kept up with inflation. You don't have more money, you just kept up. You need to make more than that. And this is why people get tricked with, look how much money I've made on my house. It's lies. Like, no, money has devalued. And this is what Ray is saying right here. And I don't think many people get it. I was literally having this argument with someone on Reddit where he bought a Rolex for like 10 grand about 10 years ago. And he was arguing it's now worth 15. It's a great investment. I went, mate, you made 50% over 10 years. You've lost money. Like, money halves every 15. You need to be at 20 to 30 grand now for that watch, for it to have just kept up with inflation. That isn't even making money. This is staying the same. And he was trying to argue that his Rolex was an investment. It's like, it's better than cash. I agree, a Rolex is better than cash based on what he was telling me, because he thinks it went from 10K to 15 in 10 years. So, okay, it's better than cash, because 10K would have stayed as 10K in cash. But a Rolex has done a little bit better, but it's still lost money. The 10K, that if you could have had that from 10 years ago and brought it to today, it's pretty much between 15 to 20K of what you would need to buy the equivalent amount back then. So unless you've got over 20K now, you're down. You're not even kept up with inflation. And most people just don't understand that. And it's good that people like Ray are starting to say it, because I want people to stop going, oh yeah, I've got 10 grand today. I made 11, and I've got 11 grand next year. I made money. They didn't. You kept up with inflation.
We know that, inflation's somewhere, he says about 4 to 5%. We know the figure on a standard year is somewhere between 5 and 10. Whereas when we have exceptional years around wars or pandemics or God knows what else, then we could be looking up to 20%.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of gains which you need to get year on year. So in 2009, we had the big recession, and they did a load of money printing. And I think that's probably another 20% year, wasn't it? So we have 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 20, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 20. And it's every 10 years. So you got to factor that in as well.
Yeah. Because, well, just over the last 20 years, if you go back to 2001, we've had 3 events. We've had the Afghan war, we then had the financial crisis in 2008, and now we've had the pandemic in 2020. So we've had 3 times there in 10 years where they've inflated the monetary supply hugely for war, financial crisis, then a pandemic. That's just the last 20 years.
Yeah, so I think the kind of moral on this one is invest in Bitcoin. But if you're not going to invest in Bitcoin, even just invest in S&P. So we talked about a kind of financial strategy for spare cash, holding it in something like Amazon stock or Facebook or just one of the top 5 is better than cash, because at least, it's going to follow inflation at the very least. Whereas if you got your cash, you're going to lose purchasing power.
Exactly. And that's why we're seeing, because ideally what you want, like, you don't even want to have to invest it. You just want to get paid in a good money, in a good sound money. Yeah. And that's where we've got a story here where we've got an ex-UFC fighter who's fighting in Eagle FC.
So this is my first question is, what the hell is Eagle FC?
Well, this is just a new promotion, and it's from Khabib, who was one of the GOATs from the UFC. He's now retired, and he set up his own promotion. So instead of calling it UFC, he's called it the Eagle Fight Club instead. It's just one of his nicknames. His like symbol was the eagle. Kevin Lee, who was an ex-UFC fighter, he's kind of got kicked out of the UFC, really. I think he's lost his last 3 or 4 fights in the UFC. So he's gone over to Eagle FC, and he's getting paid 100% in Bitcoin for his next couple of fights. And in this article, even, he's had, to be fair to him, I think he's had a lot of injuries at the end of his UFC career, and he's probably been forced to fight injured just to try and earn some money. And he's obviously lost because of that and had a bit of a tough time. But he even says in this interview that he did 4 years ago, he bought some Bitcoin. His mate told him about it. He put some of his fight money into Bitcoin, and that's what got him through the hard times. So now he's going, why would I be paid in anything else? So he's moved over to Eagle FC. He's told Khabib, I'll fight for you, but I want to get paid in Bitcoin. Why?
He's got 4 fights, hasn't he, scheduled through this, all through Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what kind of amounts, because, well, I think even from a bit of a neutral, because I'm not into UFC, but seeing how much it is to put his body on the line versus how much it was when he was in UFC, and then obviously fast forward 5 years, what that means.
Well, it says in this, it's worth millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin.
Was he a big fighter?
Oh yeah, he's one of the top guys. He never was quite a champion, but I know Kevin Lee. I've seen him fight numerous times. He was like a top 10 fighter in UFC for years. Just never got a title. He's
been kicked out of UFC.
Yeah,
well you can't carry on going on a losing streak and then still be a draw. And maybe for him, he wanted something fresh as well.
What this is, right? Imagine a footballer in the Premier League, and then they kind of can't make it in the Premier League anymore. They get signed by America or China and get paid a shit ton of money to come over because they've still got a name, even though they're not quite good enough. This is what's happening here. So you've got all these all these different promotions. They just want a name. They want Kevin Lee's fans to go over to Eagle FC and then start watching their promotion. So they will pay him a premium. Like, he wouldn't be getting paid millions to fight in the UFC anymore. He'd be getting paid a lot less than that. But Eagle FC are probably paying a premium for him because they want some UFC fans to go follow him.
So out of the last 7 matches, he's lost 5.
Yeah, there you go. That's why he got cut from the UFC.
Whereas he seems to be winning quite a lot before that.
Yeah, he was supposed to be a world champion, but then I think got injured, lost some fights.
18 fights in the UFC. He was a staple fighter that was always going to be on a card.
But it's interesting. I must admit, I do think there's a weird trend going on here where we've got a lot of professional athletes, whether it be American football, UFC, kind of NBA. They want to get paid in Bitcoin.
We're yet to see a soccer player, aren't we?
Yeah, we're yet to see a soccer player because I've got time on my hands. I sat down and I looked into this a little bit more. So, as I could find on the internet, we've got 6 NFL players that are all being paid a proportion or all of their wages in Bitcoin. The biggest being Odell Beckham Jr. And then we've got one NFL player one NBA player, Cade Cunningham. So he is the only one. Again, it's only a proportion, but it's enough to be like he is the first NBA player. And then I looked a little bit further because like in music, certainly in hip hop as well, there's so many people that have come out and said, we are investing into Bitcoin. And I'll reel off the names from Nas, who's a really big investor into startup companies, to Nipsey Hussle, I think, was one of the first. So these names might not necessarily mean anything, but these guys, to the masses and to their audience, quite big, and so they will go off, do the research, follow, and then pick up on these things. Jay-Z, naturally. Soulja Boy, he's always been an early adopter. So he's been an early adopter from the MySpace of the ages. He was on YouTube, and so he's been huge into crypto as well. Rick Ross, 50 Cent, we know, did an album. Cardi B, all of these names. Akon as well. Akon is so rich, it's unbelievable. Like, if you look at his net worth.
Didn't he do a project in Africa where he's making these cheap as fuck lights?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you know, when they are doing these types of projects, their fans are sitting up and taking and paying attention to it. And I'm sure that their influence will continue to spill over into the masses.
Do you know what I think it is? What I think this actually is showing is these are, a lot of these people are very normal people that came from very normal backgrounds. And they've worked their way up. They've got a super talent, either in music or sport, and they've got right to the top and they've started earning millions. They've realized how much the financial system, even against them, who are essentially now part of the elite, like they are earning more than 99% of people, how screwed they are with money and how little money they probably have, because they're losing half of it in taxes, and the half they get to keep, they're still getting eroded and going, oh my God, what the hell is this inflation thing about? And I think what's happened to a lot of these guys, because they're not corrupt either, they're not part of the system. They've come from
they're the entertainers in the circuses, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're not the circus master. They've just come through, and they're kind of the plebs that have made it, and they've got there and they've gone, how the hell are you meant to survive in this world? Like, this is, I'm earning 20 million a year, whatever you get paid to be a football star in America, and I barely got any money. I can barely afford these mansions and living like with a Ferrari and stuff. I can barely even afford this. How the hell does the average Joe even just pay for a normal house, a normal car? And I think they've started to go, there's something fucked with the money. This money just should not work like this. And I think that slowly but surely, a load of them are finding Bitcoin, going, when I earn money, I should earn money, then it increases from there, not go down. And I'm constantly being pressured to spend it or lose it. I don't want to spend it. I want to keep it and then pass it down generation to generation. I'm the one that made it. So I want to kind of set up legacy for my family.
I'll go a step further on that as well, because of their careers and the length of their careers, especially NFL. NFL, the average length of their career is 3.5 years. And there's a ESPN 30 by 30 documentary where it shows NFL players are typically broke. Like, not only, just flat broke, destitute within 3 years after retiring as well. So NBA players, I think, are 5 years flat broke after 5 years. Again, same documentary by ESPN. So I think what they've realised is two things. Not only that, they're getting fucked and screwed by the circus master, but they want their money to last a lot longer than their career will last. So they're great in this white hot space, but then also as well, ownership. They understand ownership, and that's certainly started to come through a lot more. You know, they're taking ownership of their brand and who they are. Even if they're releasing shitty NFTs, they don't care. You know, they're still taking that ownership to be like, right, well, you're not going to get paid, I'm going to get paid, and I'm going to control all of
this. Whilst we're talking about this, I had a quick search on soccer players, and so we got Ryan Babel, who I'd totally forgotten about, who's into his Bitcoin. Kieran Gibbs, which we managed to miss. So last January, he announced that he's going to have 50% of his salary paid into Bitcoin.
Who does he play for now?
Inter Miami.
I
don't know if he still does.
In Miami, so he's been orange pilled by being in Miami, I bet.
Of course.
So, quite interesting. It says a few players are into their crypto, but it says crypto, not Bitcoin. So I'm like, they must be shitcoiners.
Yeah, because it's such a thin line, isn't it? Because if you're like this, if you're doing the crypto and NFT stuff, quite often that doesn't mean you get anything. It just means it's basically like a promotion. Some random companies come to you to pay you some money to put your name on something to make a quick buck. That's just classic kind of capitalism, almost scamming your audience. It couldn't be further away from the people that just want to get paid in Bitcoin. They're the ones that understand money and just, they don't want to scam anyone. They just want to go, no, don't pay me in dollars. I just want to, instead of paying me in dollars, then I have to faff about and buy Bitcoin and send it to my ledger. Just here's my ledger address, send my Bitcoin there. And it just saves me a job. They're the ones that get it. And fair play if there's some, weirdly, it could be we could actually start one of the big kind of snowballs. I think it's just fantastic, though, isn't it? Every industry you go into, whether it's countries, companies, plebs, or footballers, sports people, musicians, every single industry is off zero now, and they're rolling down the hill on Bitcoin. And it's just we know it's going to get bigger. We just need one of them to go big.
Just wait till we can have a proportion of our salary being paid in Bitcoin at a normal company. That would be a big step.
Yeah, just reading the article on bitcoin.com, it's probably worthwhile putting this in the show notes as well, is that he's using the company XBTO in order to help him to convert the salary to avoid heavy fees. Now, that's what you need. Ultimately, it's companies that are going to help the normal average person convert it. And so it takes away that headache. I think there would be more adopters. As we were talking before we even started recording, it's that ease. You just want to make it super easy for the person not to have to think, but know that it's being done. Less fees, super ease. I'm going to coin that phrase.
It's a good phrase. But that strike, man, that strike, right? They will plug in the back. They plug into your HR system, and zero fees, convert your salary into Bitcoin, send it to your ledger.
Exactly. In this article, sound like Gibbs had some kind of like sponsorship with this company.
Yeah.
And it was, I think, back before Strike announced the race to the bottom.
Mm.
We just need to wait a couple of years, and Strike will be better known, and it will be a bigger company, and anyone can just plug in.
I think that's certainly a gap in the market as well, because there's a lot of I guess blue ocean for companies that are going to help the average person understand Bitcoin better. I mean, we see the likes of the tutorials, and I don't mean the shitcoin tutorials on Coinbase, but the actual tutorials about learning more about Bitcoin that is on Coinbase. And there are other websites like Bitcoin Lessons, and so you can obviously understand how and why you should be getting involved.
I think this goes perfectly into Bitcoin support. So one which Mr. Orlin put in here, I had a read through a website, and I had a mixture of two thoughts. God, it's risky having someone else involved, but it is about adoption, isn't it? And it's, the people who aren't as technically sound, or maybe don't have anyone to speak to, they can have a paid for service. And also, this brand are only as good as their customers find the experience. So they seem to offer a range going from phone wallets through to online wallets, and then desktop, right down to ledgers, and I think storing seed phrases as well. So they had packages which they put together. I went, that's great for someone who's just getting into Bitcoin. So really good thought by them to add that and actually have technical support, someone to guide you through and give you a step-by-step guide.
Yeah, it's from a really good guy. The guy is called Francis Poliot. He's a big Bitcoiner. So he runs the Bull Bitcoin exchange. And he's just trying to onboard more people. So just as we were talking about then, right? If let's just say a load of companies did roll out, you can get paid in Bitcoin. A load of people would just turn around and go, well, I don't know how to store Bitcoin. We need an address. A load of people, but what do you mean an address? I've got a bank account. How do I get an address? This is it, right? This is Bitcoin support. And it's like, right, so it takes you right from the wallet down to how to have, even doing CoinJoin, hardware wallets, what was it? It's desktop wallets, mobile wallets, desktop wallets, and then the hardware wallet, and then also privacy and CoinJoin. It takes you through all of it. And some of the packages, so for the hardware wallet, it costs $350, but you do get a hardware wallet for that. and you get all the cables, plus you get a $25 Bitcoin voucher. So they're giving you a little bit of Bitcoin to get started as well as the hardware wallet, which is worth quite about $100. So you're paying basically $150 for someone just to talk you through setting it up, how to get the private words off and your 24 words, where to store them, what to do, and just someone to talk it through. So this is the thing, right? There's only so many people that I always try and say, like, we all need to be the Bitcoin guy in our families. We need to be this. We need to be Bitcoin support for our families. But that doesn't scale too far because we can't do it for everyone. So yes, who knows? This could be a good service that people might well use. Who knows? He's literally just launched it this week. I think he launched it 2 or 3 days ago. Might have even just been yesterday. So let's see.
But I feel that, like, you know, we've talked about being expensive, but it's that peace of mind, you know, for those new starters. So I do think it's got a place in the market. And if it is someone who's prominent within the Bitcoin market, it has a level of trust as well.
Yeah. He knows what he's doing. I can guarantee the advice that these guys give will be top notch. Francis was in Bitcoin back in 2013, so he knows his shit.
And it also has CoinJoin on one of the packages as well. And I was like, yes.
He's a massive
that is advanced.
Yeah, so here we go, the Revenant package. So coming soon. So it's hardware wallet, cold card package, 5 times steel backup plates, one-on-one cold card setup support by phone, one-on-one privacy tutorial by phone, one-on-one expert tutorial on backups. So there's a fair amount there. Yeah. I'm guessing that's like hundreds of dollars, but I kind of think if you're putting loads of money in, it's worth it.
So I wonder, so there's definitely a market there for sure, because I guess it's like a little bit of a Trojan horse. They know the custom is going to come without a shadow of a doubt, and they're getting off the block by being Bitcoin support super early. It can only go one way as well. You know, you're going to need this in various different languages. You're going to need people on the phone that are able to speak different languages, and they're also going to need to be able to send internationally as well, because I think this is fantastic.
Yeah, we'll see how it does. Because one of them where it's going to be tough to get the normies to know it exists. A lot of Bitcoiners now knows it exists. It's going to rely on people like us to like share the word, really, to go. It's always been the thing, hasn't it, where you can't, if something goes wrong with your Bitcoin, there's no support line to call. Well, now technically there is. There actually is. There's actually a service now that you can pay for, and someone will actually help you through it. So it's good, because I'm sure there's plenty of people. And I must admit, right, when I was first getting into Bitcoin, if this existed, I'd have bought it. Like, I would have still done my hours and hours of research, but I think if this had been here and I could have just chatted to someone, paid them a couple $100 to go, right, what ledger should I get? What hardware wallet should I get? How do I set up? What are 24 words again? Just talk me through it. And having someone at the end of the phone just to confirm the things that I already thought I knew would have helped. And now I don't need it, but I'll definitely keep this in mind for people that just refuse to listen to me, maybe, but they still want to buy Bitcoin. This is a good service just to send them to and go, look.
Well, it's probably because you didn't buy them a Christmas present of Bitcoin.
But this actually, the reason why I was thinking about it, so I just clicked through to go through the buying gap process, and you could do it. You could essentially do everything. And so you could send Christmas gifts using this website. Bitcoin support.
Like you said, how you're going to like send a ledger to someone. This is a great way of doing it. It's a little bit more expensive than a ledger, but they get a ledger plus professional support alongside on how to use the ledger and what it is.
Yeah, that's one less phone call. So you've orange pilled them. You've then given them the how-to guide, essentially.
Yeah, it's all part of Bitcoin's usability, right?
Yeah.
So moving away from taking responsibility and holding your Bitcoin, moving to someone who wants to take your Bitcoin. the US government. So this was a story which was picked up around how much Bitcoin they've been seizing over the years. So it's varied, and obviously with the price fluctuation, I think it's quite hard to work out. So in 2019, 700,000, 2021, what do we have? 1.2 billion. So there's been billions in total. I'm guessing quite a lot of that was through Silk Road, though. So that's probably where they would have caught a lot.
Weirdly, no. So a lot of this is actually not even related to Bitcoin crimes whatsoever. These are just normal crimes. And when the US government come in, they just seize all your assets and then auction them off. And what I think's happened in 2019, because they only got 700K of Bitcoin, I don't think they were really looking for Bitcoin back then. Because obviously in 2013, the Silk Road. So in 2021 alone, they've seized 1.2 billion. So what I think they've started doing is when they arrest people on fraud or drug type charges, they automatically now look for the Bitcoin. So this is the biggest lesson that you can ever take from this is, well, how did they seize the Bitcoin? It had to be on an exchange. That's how they seized it.
Or it had to be in the person's home.
But even then, they couldn't seize it. You can just give them a ledger. Hey, good luck. Unlock it. You can't unlock it.
What, say their seed phrase?
Oh, if they got the seed phrase, potentially, yeah. If it's there, yeah. They got the 24 words on hand. But normally, it's they've just seized it from exchanges, which is what most of this is. This is why they just go straight to Coinbase, Kraken, Gemini, say, we've arrested this person on fraud charges, we're seizing all their assets, send it to this address. So that's what they do. And so, yeah, it looks like they've seized 8.6 billion in total. But what they do, this is the classic thing of the US government, right? They aren't seeing this they're not doing this for any weird conspiracy reasons. They're just doing this they seize everything. They seize your business, they seize your bank accounts, they seize your Bitcoin, they seize your investments, they seize everything. They'll just get it all, grab it, put it into an auction, and just sell it to the highest bidder. They don't care. And that's at the moment what they're doing to Bitcoin. They're
with
selling
Bitcoin,
off.
mate, just put it on to sell it on Coinbase. It makes no sense to auction it. You get the price which it is on the market then. Whereas in an auction, you're getting the highest bidder.
Well, it does make sense, actually. If you're selling large amounts, it makes sense to sell it to an individual buyer, because if you sell it on Coinbase or on an exchange, you could dump the price. Whereas if you sell it OTC, so over the desk, essentially, or over the counter, then say I like steal, that's essentially what they're doing. They steal like 50 million, 100 million worth of Bitcoin off someone. If they go to Coinbase and press sell on that, the price of Bitcoin dumps and they lose a huge amount of money. Whereas if they can find a Ray Dalio or an Elon Musk or watch some of these big boys, and they just hit them up and go, look, do you want 10 million each of Bitcoin? They go, all right, fine. I'll buy that 10 million for 9 million and call it a deal. And no one knows it happened. Doesn't hit an exchange. Technically, that was a sell
Do you
and a
reckon
buy.
Saylor does it?
Oh, Saylor definitely does it. I think he does DCA in on Coinbase as well, but I can guarantee he is lingering behind the scenes of a lot of these auctions going, because he's buying hundreds of millions of Bitcoin every couple of months. So he has to be doing OTC.
It's their strategy. So, and also they know that they've got a buyer on the other side. So if they've seized it and it's their duty to then get rid of it, i.e. sell it, then they want a motivated buyer and someone that is going to, not mess about, got the money. Because one of the names that came up in the article was a guy called Tim Draper, who lost a lot of money on the Mt. Gox, but he's a firm believer in Bitcoin and, selling out, was it 19 million for Bitcoins?
Yeah, he's the guy that bought a load of the Silk Road coins.
Yeah.
When they were dumping them, he bought them all up, and that's made him a billionaire.
Yeah, he knew exactly what he was doing, and the average person's like, "What? You buying 19 million? Yeah, 19 million just turned into a couple bill."
Yeah, But the takeaway from this is, well, there's two takeaways for me. Is don't keep your Bitcoin on exchanges, because if you ever get in trouble with the law, all your assets are going to get frozen, including your Bitcoin. If it's on your hardware wallets, they can't do it as easily. So you need to make sure you hide your words as well, but don't have it on exchange. And then number two is the US still have no fucking clue what Bitcoin is, because they're seizing it and they're selling it. So you wouldn't be selling the currency that you think is going to be a genuine competition to you. If I was them, I'd be seizing this and I'd make up some random bullshit regulation that says, oh, we're just going to hold this Bitcoin because for like fraud reasons or something. Just bullshit, and go, we're going to look into the blockchain and see who's owned it before. Just lie and just basically just be storing these billions of Bitcoin in US Treasury just in case. But the fact that they're auctioning it off for like below market value, it just proves they got no fucking clue what Bitcoin is. And long may that continue.
So,
but talking about the US government, we've got there. Is this inflation of the week? I think it is inflation of the week, isn't it?
This is inflation of the week.
Everyone's favorite topic.
226 trillion in global debt at risk as rates rise, the IMF says. So it's taken them this long, like 226 trillion, and now they're worried. They weren't worried at 225, but 226, that's too high. What's going on, boys?
Right, wow.
It's always a record amount though every year, isn't it?
Of course it is.
So I'm just a bit like, it's just a non-story. It means nothing.
It only grew by 28% in 1 year.
Yeah.
But that's big. That's the amount of money which they printed, wasn't it?
So, you know, when we talk about what's inflation, maybe global debt increase is actually a good way of looking at what inflation is, because this is 28% on here.
Yeah,
so maybe
we know the money printed was somewhere over 20%, but we never actually found out figures, did we? But then again, that is global, so it won't give us the accurate. So certain countries like Turkey and Argentina were going mad with the money printer.
Yeah, but I think they're pretty much cut off from their debt. Their debt ceiling has been reached, I think. If they're still loaning them money, then Jesus, it really has gone off.
You know, we talk about loaning money, and this is just them saying, "Oh yeah, we're loaning money to print money," and it's just like, you're not, because no one ever pays that debt. So it's just literally, this is a deficit which equals the amount of money printed.
Yeah, well, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because it's pretty much America run it, and if you're a poor country like El Salvador, you have to pay it. It's a genuine loan. But if you're in with the US dollar crowd, you get some buys. It's wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So it's where it massively suits. If you're in on the dollar standard and you're part of it, then yeah, you have infinite money. You can do what the fuck you want. If you're a smaller country, it doesn't benefit you at all, because if you do take $1 trillion worth of debt and you're paying 10% interest rates, that's real. That's a real life debt that you have to earn those dollars and pay it back as a small country. But America doesn't have to pay it back.
MMA take infrastructure, don't they? They like doing that to developing countries and crippling them.
Yeah. Where did China did that, didn't they, the other day? Where did they do that to?
They did it to an airport in one of the African countries. So they've taken a shining to the poor Africans. Yeah.
Because I think it was, I can't remember what country it was, but I think they only had one international airport. And because they defaulted on their debt, China now own it. So they literally own the in and out of that country. And it's just, they have no clue how serious that is. Like, to give up your main international airport is just giving China the keys to your country in a way, and they can just do whatever they want now.
Well, they have been actually. So behind the scenes, China have been building roads and various different things in Africa, and ultimately, in time will tell, come to find that China own a lot of Africa already. Um, as normal on my Tuesday, I've clicked into the world debt clock, and the US is running at 29,222,657,000,000 and counting. So it's going up, and I think maybe just by the time we reach our 1-year anniversary on this show, we'll be at 30 trillion the way they're going. Interestingly enough, I think Japan have jumped in their national debt because they're running at 15 trillion as number 2 as well. So China in third is 8 trillion, and Germany and the UK very, very close at 3 trillion. It's not getting paid back. Yeah, it's never getting paid back. The numbers are astonishing.
Yeah, it says in here, it says China alone accounted for 26% of the global debt surge last year. And the global public debt ratio jumping a record 99% of GDP. So that pretty much means, right, the global public debt, everything that every single human and business created last year, exactly 1-to-1, the debt went up. Like every single pound that anyone created on the world, every single pound, they loaned another pound on the back of it. Like what?
1-to-1. Yeah.
Literally 1-to-1. It went up 99%. Let's just say it's 100. So it's exactly 1-to-1. And
yeah,
it's just insane, man. It's completely insane. The amount of money this is, you can't even comprehend it. The thing is, like, the numbers are so big, you literally need graphics to show how much the GDP of the world is. Like, how much money is that, and how long would it take an individual to earn it? And when you realize it's like 200,000 years, like, that you suddenly realize, oh, these numbers are so ridiculously big. They cannot print this amount of money in 1 year and get away with it. Like, this is what brings economies down, and we're watching it in real time.
What's also, interesting is, as we've been on air, Rishi has just issued a £1 billion fund to help businesses during the increase in COVID recently. So where's that money come from, Rishi?
Exactly.
Just magically appeared.
Did you see the tweet? There was a really good politician in Canada, and they were printing another 7 billion. I think it was something similar to help with lockdowns.
Oh, yeah.
And he kept asking them for 5 minutes, who's paying for this? And they all were looking at each other. They refused to answer the question. And eventually he's like, is no one from finance here? There's like 10 people here to represent this bill, and we're being asked to vote on it. Is anyone from finance here? And it goes to the finance guy, and he goes, oh, it's going to do this, this, and this, but it's all part of the macro level government stuff. Like, he refuses to answer the question. So the politician in the end just goes, I'll tell you where it's coming from then. You're going to print the money. It's going to inflate the monetary supply. You're stealing from people's wages. You're stealing people's savings. You're going to increase the cost of goods. That's where the money comes from, the taxpayer. The average person is paying for this. So we need to decide, is the risk reward worth it? Because at the moment, it's like it being in a business going, should we just spend this money over here? And you go, well, where's the money come from? Oh, we've just got it loose here. Okay, great. We'll just spend it. It's free money. Great. But when it's for government, they don't have free money sat about. It's our money, and they choose whether to inflate it or not. That's what the decision is.
But people don't understand that it's the stealth tax. Yeah,
it's the ultimate stealth tax. And they say, okay. And then weirdly, they'll sign off that billion. It'll get signed off. It'll go to those companies, and everyone will go, oh yeah, great. I'm glad we helped out the hospitality sector, without realizing, well, that slightly inflated your money. So
yeah,
who knows what an extra billion, to be fair, is, you're pissing in a bucket there. Like, who gives a shit about a billion? They printed 1 trillion last year or earlier this year. So that's 1,000 times more. So an extra billion doesn't even matter, but it's your money. Like literally the savings you have in the bank and what you get paid as a job, it's worth slightly less now because they just put it's an extra billion. They just inflated the supply. It's like Bitcoin going from 21 million to 21.1 million Bitcoin now. And you just going, yeah, it's fine. So no, it's not fine. It's just devalued your Bitcoin. Your Bitcoin's worth a little bit less now. That's not good. You don't want that.
What I think, though, is kind of like a sleight of hand tactic by you as a business owner, because I'm sure, we all went out last week and we were talking to the waitress and she said about how there'd been loads of cancellations. But if the government's going to give you the money to cater for those cancellations, see what I did there, ultimately they think, oh, well, we've got this money now. But what they're not realizing is the fact that the corporation tax will increase and the theft of their money as well. So you're looking over here, but really it's that hand over there that's just taken out of the back pocket.
Yeah, and it never really solves the problem either. Like you can't do this, right? You can't shut down a whole industry and then just throw them some money and expect it to be okay. The people at the bottom always get fucked. So when you throw a load of money into a company, what that company will do to get through the hard times is the guy that owns that company will just keep a load of it for themselves and lay off a load of people. So the waiters and waitresses will probably not receive hardly any of the money that they think they're printing for them. They just won't. And especially during Christmas time and stuff, they earn something like 30%, 50% of their tips during like a 1 month period for the whole year. So when you close down here, like their tips aren't reflected in their salary. So they're going to get paid, but they're going to lose 50% of their tips for the year because a load of people cancel for Christmas. So no which way you kind of try and shuffle it around, everyone loses. Like the hospitality sector, the government think they're bailing them out. They're not. Probably the big restaurant owners will win or just break even, but the people on the ground will lose. The people that don't go out will lose. And the fact the government printed a load of money for no reason means everyone loses. It's just...
Yeah. Well, it's a double whammy, isn't it? You're talking about the loss of tips, but it's also everything's now become 20% more expensive for the workers.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And no one sees that. As Sir Neverlook said, it's that sleight of hand.
Yeah. Inflation is the smartest tax they've ever come up with.
But we've done it numerous times.
Man, they've done it since the last 100 years, ever since we came onto a fiat standard, haven't they?
It was even before that, because it was coin clipping in Roman times.
Yeah.
It wasn't so hidden.
Yeah, it's more obvious. Yeah, now you can do it in a back room and just add some zeros to an Excel spreadsheet, and without you realizing it, your money just lost half its value.
So, do you want to move on to Shitcoin Corner now? Yeah,
go on. We got some good old NFT projects in here.
Yeah, so Stanley's back from the dead. A superhero which I've never heard of called Chakra the Invincible.
Yeah, I'd never come across Chakra the Invincible.
So I had a quick look when Chakra was made, whether Chakra was made for NFTs, but apparently premiered on Cartoon Network in 2013 when Stanley was actually alive. So Stanley has an official account on Twitter which is shilling NFTs about Chakra. And it says
Stanley will live on forever, obviously.
So Stanley, I mean, it's the real Stanley. It's like, it's not the real Stanley because he's dead. We all know he's dead, and he's shilling Chakra. So yeah, even Marvel are getting in on NFTs now.
Yeah.
Does this signal the bottom, or is it just more mass adoption of it?
Well, hopefully it signals the top, because they're weirdly like there's the crazy frog. Weirdly, this is like the ultimate meme. You know, literally the crazy frog like ringtone.
Yeah.
he's the first comment on under this tweet, and it says NFTs shouldn't be done this way. This is terrible. And he's got 44,000 likes on that message, and the main tweet only has 13,000 likes. So even a meme frog is saying this is out of order. Like, you've logged in. This is by the family of Stan Lee have logged into his account that has millions of followers, and they started to show some JPEGs and trying to scam his audience. And even the crazy frog goes, guys, this is too far. Like, we've had Dink Doink, and we've had like freaking Cum Rocket, and they were fine. This is too far, guys. Stop it. Like, Stan Lee was a legend. Stop selling his name.
I've got a limited edition Chakra of the Invincible.
Congratulations.
I just right-clicked it.
You right-clicked
it. It's interesting as you guys were talking just there, Stan Lee, through his, whilst alive, created over 300 characters.
Wow.
And so Chakra is just one of many.
Yeah. So what they've done is like they've just gone through, haven't they, and gone, oh, he's obviously got a load of very public characters that are probably owned by others, but out of those 300, maybe there's 100 of them he never really released, or they're very small, no one really owns them. They've gone, fuck it, let's NFT them and throw them out there and just make it buck. It's all just a bit disgusting. It's just all a money grab. No doubt it will work. People will buy them purely on the off chance that it's still Stan Lee's like work. It's his brain. It's his artistic talent. So they undoubtedly are good characters. He didn't have time to do them. So they're probably going to make millions. But it's just sad. It's their proper bottom feeders just scraping the last couple of million out of Stan Lee's name. And you're going, if Stan Lee was around, you just know he wouldn't sign off on this. He'd have wanted each of these characters to have a proper like life and like for his vision to like follow through on these characters. Instead, they're all being JPEG'd up, thrown on the blockchain, and sold off to kids. And they're all going to end up at 99% down. So
do you think they'll be worth anything? It just seems like a pointless.
Yeah, they'll probably hold their value more than like a random ape or something, or a crypto punk, because it's got Stan Lee's name on it, and if it is actually from his formal account, so maybe there is a little bit of. But normally, actually, what happens? There's no copyright that comes with it. So, like, if you try and buy that character, whichever one it was, you don't own it. It's not like you own a different version of Iron Man. Like, you just own a fucking JPEG of him. They're going to zero.
Going on to the next NFT, Mrs. Trump is releasing, what was it called? I'm just trying to find what it was called because I read it and I was just like, my God. Melania's Vision. I had to Google to try and find it, and there's some like crudely drawn eyes, and it says that she's a big lover of art, and then one of the ongoing commitments to children through my Be Best initiative. So it's some kind of charity play for this. So it's someone who isn't really linked into technology doing NFTs. You kind of think, surely that's another sign, but it's on its way down.
Yeah. I came across something as well, and I was going to add it to the agenda, but I thought, no, just leave it off because it is, again, about NFTs. So Ashton Kutcher, he is a big Bitcoiner, but his wife, Mila Kunis, if they ever divorce, yes, I'll happily step in. Has got a
Did your wife know about this?
No. I need a pass. She never listens. Yeah, it's funny. I don't know. It's got a long story short. She's from Russia. Mila Kunis originally. She speaks fluent Russian. And Ashton, with his Bitcoin and I guess crypto affiliation then managed to somehow get Vitalik to like come to their house.
Yeah,
So Vitalik,
I saw that little video.
You seen that?
TikTok,
yeah. And so anyway, she's got a program which is called Stoner Cats, and she's making NFTs from the cartoon. And I was just like, this is it's just going insane. Like there will be NFTs for everything. But where I'm going with this is essentially like, who wants that? Like, you can create it, but so what? It gives you premium access to all of the cartoon episodes and obviously certain characters. Yeah, but great. But is there such a following that in 5 years' time, I'm going to be bothered about Stoner Cats?
Exactly. It's the classic scarcity argument, isn't it? When NFTs first came out, they were kind of based on some JPEGs that were stored on the Bitcoin blockchain and the Ethereum blockchain back in like 2016, 2015, like the CryptoPunks, and there's only 100 of them. So it all kind of makes sense that you go, oh, we all want one of these now. But then we're a year, 2 years in now, and yet every single celebrity, we've got Trump here, we had Stan Lee before, you got Ashton Kutcher and Milena Kunis there, all put in their version of just whatever cartoon character they can come up with, just shoving it on there. It's just the scarcity and the inflation on these NFTs has just gone sky high now. And there's only so much money to buy them. So it just, the more that they keep putting on there, the thinner the market has to get. And eventually it goes pop. And once a project comes out that no one buys, everyone on the point will be looking around going, shit, and my Stoner Cat is not worth anything. I'm just going to try sell it. And they're going to realize, fuck, no one's buying it.
No one buys it. Yeah,
and it's just like dominoes back, isn't it? And the whole market collapses. So it looks like we're getting close to a market top on NFTs. And who knows what that means for the whole market? Because it looks like this is saturated now, right? When we had celebrities coming out of their ICOs in 2017, 2018, that was the top. So once you have the celebs coming out of these crappy ICOs, and they all got sued, right? A lot of them had to pay like settlement fees with the SEC for doing illegal like fundraising. Who knows if there's any illegal charges for this? I don't think, weirdly, I think this is a little bit cleaner. Like they say they're selling a JPEG. They're selling a JPEG.
Oh, yeah. They're definitely selling a JPEG, but it's, again, are you going to really buy into this? And it's like Gary V with his NFTs as well. Stop. I used to really like Gary, and I've just lost a lot of time for him.
It's disgusting, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully it's marking the top. I got my hair cut today, and my hairdresser, or like the barber, he was talking about NFTs. He knows I'm a Bitcoiner. He's like, oh, but my brother-in-law, he's been buying NFTs and he's been making like $3 or $4 grand a week, like flipping them. I'm like, okay, how's he doing this? He's like, oh, he's in these random Discord groups and they learn about a new NFT project going to come out. They all get in. They know a celebrity's going to tweet about it. So they sell it after they tweet. And I'm like, he's in pump and dump groups. Like these are illegal and they're kind of a little bit dirty, right? It's like you're literally, this is the system we're trying to get away from. This insider info, like the lack of transparency. You're literally in a secret little group of like a couple of hundred people, you buying shit, but you get a celebrity to tweet it, a load of their fans buy it, and you dump on their heads, and then they lose a load of money. Like you're stealing the money of kids, like children. Like they probably don't have the money to lose. That's what the bankers do, man. Like that isn't like fair play if you're making a bit of money and you're just using that to get going, but it's still dirty. Like I wouldn't do it. Like it just goes from like the purity of Bitcoin, where everything's transparent, everyone knows what they're getting into. Like there's no insider info. It's just you can buy it and hold it, and you're going to make money. And these NFTs, it's all about timing. Like you need to buy it now and sell it next week. Or
it's the same as most shit coins, isn't it?
Yeah. It is, yeah. Shitcoins, ICOs, NFTs
as well. in terms of like, you know, when you used to think, oh, you're not even used to, when you were buying the fake DVDs or, you know, knockoff.
I don't know what you're talking about.
There's probably some corruptness behind it, really, and truly, but you just don't like to think about it. And that's probably the same from an NFT perspective. They don't want to think about the consequences of who they're actually hurting in the background because, you know, I'll put it out of my mind. But there is someone that is actually getting fucked on the other side of that transaction.
Yeah. If you're making 3 or 4 grand a week, it means that money came from somewhere.
Yeah.
Someone had to lose that 3 or 4 grand that week. And chances are it's like 10 people that all lost 300 or 400 quid and you made the 3 or 4 grand. But there's probably like 10, 18-year-olds that all they had was 400 quid. And you took it because you sold them an NFT. It went from £500 to 0 in a week.
They do need to learn the lesson at some point to not be so stupid.
They do. Yeah.
I guess it is a good education for everyone to realise that NFTs are cock of shit. But do you want to go on to our final story of the week?
Finally, yeah, Bruce Buffer. We need the little like sound intro from him. You can just imagine him saying it, can't you?
Because this is another like celeb, and I hope this isn't a top signal as well. Because when people like Cardi B are tweeting about crypto, NFTs, or ICOs or Bitcoin, it normally is a bad sign. I hate to say it, but she tweeted 21 hours ago, so yesterday, do you think crypto is going to replace the dollar? It's a good question. This isn't her trying to promote a scam. This is her just going.
Is she a Bitcoiner or is she into various shit coins?
I reckon she's done the ICO NFT shit before, but I think this is her actually waking up because she does not believe in the pandemic either, by the way. She's spoken out about this numerous times. She's gone, you don't need to be vaccinated to come to my events. Like, I don't want to wear masks places. And she's got a lot of shit for that. So she's starting to wake up and realize there's a lot of lies in the world. And I like this question. Obviously, she said the C word, which we don't like. But then we've got Jack Dorsey, who's on he's a fucking madman now. I love Jack even more than I did before because he's replying to loads of random shit at the moment. And he's just gone, yes, Bitcoin will. She was just correcting her. You said the C word. Yeah. I'm answering your question. Yeah, the dollar's getting replaced, but not by crypto. It's getting replaced with Bitcoin. And this is...
But because of the affiliation of Jack Dorsey and Jay-Z together, the list of like hip-hop artists that I talked about earlier on, they now see him as the go-to guy. So if I'm going to ask a question, I'm going to ask Jack, and Jack's going to respond back to my question. And, you know, together, there's that whole network. You know, she's bringing in her fans. Obviously, Jack is bringing in the Bitcoin world. And it's just going to continue to snowball from there. And hopefully Jack can continue to educate people properly with their pronunciations, you know.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of not saying the C word. Cunt is a beautiful word. Crypto is a fucking disgusting word.
Funnily enough, in one of the replies, I saw someone retweet it where someone had said that it won't be Bitcoin. Bitcoin's backed by nothing, whereas a dollar is backed by the government. It made me laugh. It's just like, seriously.
Yeah.
I think I replied to that, yeah. It's just hilarious.
The whole reason I don't do like Twitter is I just can't stop. Like I will reply back to everything. Yeah, like, and I'll get into numerous arguments online, and I feel like, yeah, I'll just continue to sit on the sidelines.
It's good fun though. Once you get stuck in, like you'll get some Bitcoiner friends, and it's good. It's like a bit of a community in there where you're just. And if you ever do get a bite from one of these fiat bros who thinks the US dollar is like backed by stuff, like it's just fun. Like now you just go in on it. Like you know you have facts on your side, and he's just on a foundation of sand. So it's just fun, just digging away at his sand and watching him sink. And just like,
yeah.
I didn't read the thread to see if he'd replied to everyone who was giving him shit.
No, he blocked me. I've just noticed. I can't see a tweet on here, and I've realised it's because I replied to him, and he's blocked me.
Why? What did you call him? Like a status cunt or something like that?
No, I didn't know. I think I did just reply relatively sensibly. I think, yeah, he was just saying the US dollar is great, and I just went
logic.
Something like the, yeah, I think I said, yeah, literally, I think I literally, all I always said was the US dollar has lost 99% of its value over the last 100 years. How is that stable? I think he was saying that Bitcoin was too volatile, I think, in his thing.
Yes, that was it. He said something about the volatility of Bitcoin.
Yeah. So that's literally what I said. I said the dollar's lost 99% of its value over the last 100 years, which it has, which is factually correct. So you can literally Google that and you can see the chart of the dollar going down 99%. And I got blocked for that. So he's obviously just blocking all Bitcoiners.
Was that Barry Rothman?
Yeah, that's the name.
Yeah, where he says absolute nonsense. Okay, so for people that may be listening on Audible, absolute nonsense. The US dollar is backed by the full faith and credit of the US government. Bitcoin is backed by nothing but air. Currencies need to have stability and implicit trust. Gosh, Bitcoin falls far short in every respect. Stick to running Twitter. So how many, so first of all, obviously Jack resigned 2 weeks ago. So he's no longer with Twitter. Bitcoin falls far short in every respect, but yet has been going for 12, going on to its 13th year next month. Currencies need to have stability and implicit trust. Okay, well, you debunked that. And you want to use the word trust and the US government in the same kind of paragraph. Yeah,
we should dig out all the things which they've done through the 70s, 80s, 90s. Like, I think one of them is Project Mockingbird. There's various other ones which are well known that they've done, and everyone just kind of skims over that into La La Land. And then trust of a currency. Can you trust the government not to devalue your savings?
No. We literally one of our articles today was they printed more money in percentage terms than they've done since World War II. So,
do you think with Jack's replies, he could ever be deplatformed from Twitter?
That would be amazing. You know what? If Jack carries on the way he is, because I've seen some of his tweets over the last 2 days, he's just appeared back. I don't know he must have gone on holiday, just been doing some shit. He's come back the last 2 days. He started replying, and it would not surprise me if Jack gets banned from Twitter in the next year. I wouldn't be surprised, and that'll be like such a landmark. That just proves that it's not who you are; it's what you say and what you believe.
Correct.
That gets you deplatformed, because he created the fucking thing, and he's going to get deplatformed because he essentially ought to be. He's going against the US government. And now that he's off the leash and it's not affecting Twitter shareholders, which that was what was keeping him on the leash before. He didn't want to fuck over his shareholders and didn't want to hurt his Twitter employees by being too pro-Bitcoin and too anti-US government, because they could get him at Twitter and they could bring down Twitter and put sanctions on them, fine them, do all kinds of stupid shit. But now he's free. I think he's just going, fuck it, let's go. And
this could be the move to Xeon, which we were talking about the other week.
Yeah, or whatever Jack comes up with. Yeah,
correct. Yeah, whatever Jack comes up with, effectively he could move all of the followers from this by taking it down. Because if he gets himself deplatformed, if it can happen to him, it can happen to anybody. But I think that could be the method to his madness. Is that us done?
I think we're done for the week. Are we doing one next week, by the way, or are you going to have a week off? Because I don't think I can come next week. So
I was going to say probably a week off, because I think I'll probably struggle with family stuff.
Yeah.
If you come back in the new year, I think it's the 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, it'll be the 4th, the Tuesday.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
Okay, well, there we have it. Thank you once again, if you've listened all the way to the end, to myself, Sir Neverlook, Dr. Evil 10%, Mr. All-In, and she was here, but she's never here, Mrs. No Show. That was episode 36, signing out for 2021.
Fellow plebs, if you want to hear us, then yeah, tune in.